Welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
Oh, and we had a great week of football. Super Wild Card Weekend is an absolute thing.
Yeah.
I love having that good of, like, yeah, there were a couple of blowouts, but every game was good.
Okay, let me just full disclaimer. I watched 1.5 games this
True.
weekend. So I'll give you that. I'm just saying, I had a busy week schedule this
watched
weekend,
every game
so
in its entirety.
I didn't get to see them all, but yes, I will agree with that statement. Nevertheless,
all these games were great in my opinion. Was a little bit of a snooze fest Monday night, but we'll get to that when the time comes.
I'm gonna tell you how much of a snooze fest it was for me. I actually slept from I think 4:30 afternoon, and I didn't wake up again until 11:30.
Jesus.
So when I finally came to, I realized the game was played tonight, and I'm like, oh, I missed the entire game. Then I had to go back and just look at what the score was. So,
well, we'll dive into all the goodies of Wild Card Weekend here, and again, I loved it. But we'll dive into that. We'll get into game picks for divisional wild card and some news to get to here as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's recap Wild Card Weekend, dating all the way back to Saturday. The game that started it all. Two Cinderellas come together here. Bengals get a win, 26-19 in the 31-year-old's route for them getting a playoff win here.
Did you realize that in 31 years ago that these two teams actually played each other? Which is interesting because I actually watched that whole playoff series and didn't remember because, of course, I was only in 8th grade at the time. But when Vegas
wasn't even a thought.
When Vegas, formerly as being Oakland, formerly who was LA at the time, actually still had Bo Jackson, and this was the game where Bo Jackson actually blew out his hip.
Jeez.
And then of course they go into the AFC Championship and lose 51-3 to Buffalo.
Jesus.
Yes, I remember that clearly because
that can happen all over again.
Bo Jackson had suited up and never played, so it was very shocking. Like, why are you still sitting there with your uniform on for 4 straight quarters and you're not going in the game? But moving on. But he never played another lick of football anyway. So.
Well, it was not that type of night for the Raiders.
No.
This score is a little bit deceitful because it never felt like the Raiders ever had a chance in this game.
No, it's more of from the way I tracked it and did my research. It was like they just came from behind and just kind of made the score respectable more so than anything. And
for
I know
the
they
most
had a
part.
Chance to try to tie it up, but the game was not.
The
that
second
close.
half, you never felt like the Raiders had a chance.
Right.
The Bengals just played a really solid game offensively and offensively they are insane. Joe Burrow is just different, and
I'm just not gonna get caught up in it. I'm not gonna get caught into the super hype right now.
I'm not saying he's the best in the AFC or the best in the his quarterback ever. He's number 3 in the AFC.
It's not
right
just
now.
you. I'm hearing your words, but I'm hearing a lot of the just the fair weather reporting that we have to get, and
Granted, I've been talking about Joe Burrow all year.
It's fine. I mean, look, dude. I've been scouting this dude since he came out of LSU, and that was all great and fine. He got injured, and then he came back, and he had a sluggish 3 weeks out the gate, and then all of a sudden they just okay, great. Next year, I'm not expecting this next year. That's all I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I don't expect them to do what they did this year next year. That's all I'm saying.
I will. Yeah, they did have a 3rd place, 4th place schedule this year, and on top of that, nobody saw them coming, and everybody took them super lightly. And then when they started in those really close games, you're just sitting there. I mean, they dropped a game against Chicago. I mean, that in itself is already an egregious offense. But regardless, Joe Burrow has been super effective, super efficient all year long. In this game, he did it again. Jamar Chase has been one of the most dynamic wide receivers in the entire NFL. Granted, he's a rookie and nobody has any tape on him, but
you knew where I was going.
Yeah, I know. So
come next year, they're gonna have a whole season.
Yeah, so it might, like you were saying, it might not look the same next year, but for right now, this is dangerous. If you're gonna talk about San Francisco as one of the scariest teams to play, and we'll talk about that debacle. But if you want to talk about San Francisco as one of the most dangerous teams to play, I would say, hey, we're looking at this. This is the AFC version of that. Anybody in the AFC, you don't want to see the Bengals right now because they are super hot on offense. They've got a solid defense that can hold you to under 20 points if need be. And on top of that, you just have the big play explosion and just the raw confidence in Joe Burrow to just go out there and just put up as many points as he possibly can think of to put up on you. So they're super scary, and they played a fantastic game. I loved what they were able to do there. Now, granted, there was some controversy with the errant whistle, and I believe Jerome Boger's crew has been basically fired from the playoffs by the NFL, even though this is one thing about the NFL that I don't like, the NFL entity itself that I don't like, and Roger Goodell. This blind backing of the referees when they make a mistake is just baffling to me. Like, you'll admit when a player does wrong. You'll admit when, or sometimes, I mean, you cover up a lot of things for the Washington football team, but when somebody makes an egregious offense and there's just no recourse behind it, they'll come and get an owner, an executive for an NFL team for their mistakes. What is different about the referees that no matter what call it is, no matter what the play is, no matter what happens on the field, what happens off the field, regardless, they can just go ahead and make whatever mistake they want to and not get any recourse from the NFL?
Well, let me start off by saying that, one, the NFL is very consistent in this area. So I give them their consistency.
Fair
that is
point.
The only positive, negatively reinforced statement I can make here. But with that being said, absolutely, I don't get it. You would think that they'll be trying to clean up the NFL, but I think they're very selective on what they're trying to clean up as far as an image aspect, which meaning doesn't really necessarily need to clean up anything. It's just the idea of things.
It's just like, clearly everybody on the broadcast, if you were watching that game, you heard the whistle. Granted, I felt like that should have been a touchdown regardless, just because let the play out. Like that it happened, and Tyler Boyd had nobody within 5 yards of him. That window was as big as it could possibly be in the red zone for Joe Burrow to throw into. So regardless, I thought that should have been a touchdown. But it's just like, let's not lie and say you didn't. Like, just, you're gaslighting the entire country, the entire viewership of this game, where we're all like, yeah, that was a whistle. We heard it. And NBC played it back 7,000 times. There was a whistle. Don't try to come out with this stupid statement on Twitter and be like, no, there was no whistle. It came for sure after the play and after he had already caught the ball. It's like, no, we're not dumb. We have the technology. We heard it. Everybody heard it. I'm not going to say that the Raiders players let up on the play after they heard the whistle, because the whistle came after Joe Burrow threw the ball. So they were still playing. They were still playing through the whistle regardless. It was just a matter of, why are you lying about it? Why? What do you get out of covering up the fact that there was an errant whistle?
Well, obviously, the whistle does matter to a degree, because I'm sure there was a lineman or two who let up at some point.
It was a scramble play. There was no the whistle came because the side judge thought Joe Burrow had ran out of bounds, but he hadn't yet. Okay. He was literally like 4 inches away from the line, lets the ball go. As the ball is in midair, whistle comes, and it's like maybe 4 yards away from Tyler Boyd's hands when the whistle comes. Tyler Boyd catches, comes down in the back of the end zone, touchdown. Let's keep, how you doing? Keep it moving type play.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, well, we got to review that because we heard all the Raiders players, like, there was a whistle. Like, did he not step out of bounds? And replay review, which we'll get to the referees in the next segment, because I do want to commend the NFL for what they're trying to do with the referees this playoff. But they're looking around like there was clearly a whistle. So is the play dead or does it stand? They do replay review, and then they're just like, yep, nope, touchdown. Let's keep it moving. It's like, well, hold on. The rule is errant whistle. That's a replay of the down. It's basically effectively a do-over. So if that was the case, obviously, yes, that affects the game because that's not a touchdown that goes on the board. But regardless, it's just like, again, why are we lying about the fact that there was a whistle? Like it's blatant ignorance to me.
Well, you got to protect the shield, and the shield doesn't make any mistakes, even though it
This
clearly
is
makes
worse.
all the mistakes in the world, and we all know this. But it's the shield, so it's
You'll call out a player and you'll do the after Sunday report about what should have been a flag and what should not have been a flag, and who's getting fined for this or that and the other. You'll do all of that against the players, but when it comes to the refs, no, they can do no wrong, and you reinforce these egos that these refs have so that they keep making dumb decisions on the field. And when you do that, this is what pisses off the fans, because it's going to eventually turn into a New Orleans Saints LA Rams type of thing. It's an ego thing. Nope, I can never be wrong about anything, so I'm going to make the rule as I go.
Yeah, and it's not like a situation like that game that's changing rules and changing the way the game is played and cleaning the game up. And no, it's just we're just waiting for the next shoe to drop at some key moment for some poor team that's going to affect. And boom, your whole season is over based on a super bad call that should have never happened and they don't have enough foresight to course correct it in that moment.
Yeah.
So we got to see it yet again in another playoff game. I guess I could say, fortunately, with quotations, it was in the first round and not like the conference championship.
There is that, but then also it wasn't, because granted, again, the Bengals were driving like it was nobody's business against the Raiders in complete honesty. So it's not like there's no way they would have not scored on the at the end of this drive. They were 4 yards out. It was a first down play. Like they would have had multiple shots at it, and even if they didn't get the touchdown, Evan McPherson from within the 20 is not missing field goals right now. So they still theoretically would have won this game regardless, but it's just, why are you opening the door for so much controversy? Regardless, if they're wrong, they're wrong, and you'll call out the players, you'll call out executives, you'll call out staff for being wrong. Call out the refs when they're wrong, so they're held accountable, so they do better. Just be better.
And it's that blind. I don't know. Like, I've seen this in another sector of the world. It has nothing to do with sports, but it's just that whole. I'll acknowledge there's no perfect players, there's no perfect people. Things do happen. We do make mistakes. However, they will never take responsibility or accountability for that statement. They'll just make this blanketed statement that there's nobody perfect. Yeah, we're giving you an example, and they won't acknowledge the example that we have here.
Is it not even that? It's just you're blatantly lying to the fans and gaslighting us, saying like, no, that whistle was clearly after the play was over. It's like, come on. Yeah. We replayed it 7,000 times during the broadcast. Come on.
But now we got to look at it. Well, I'm going to put a spin on it. It's for clickbait. It gives us opportunities to sit here and discuss it.
Fair.
Us and
the other content now.
The other 500 podcasters out there across the nation talking about this, and of course the debate shows, because they give them just another debate topic to talk about. So it's fair. It's BS at the end. No, it's BS technically, but
no, I'm saying you're making a fair point.
No, that's what I'm saying. But yet it kind of falls under this. Well, it's clickbait. It's news lines, it's headlines. It's BS, man. I'm like, and at the same time, if I'm the Raiders or the Las Vegas fan base, I'm pissed, because it's going to affect them first and foremost. And then any other sports bettors, and I don't know who lost a couple $1,000s because of this. And, I'm just saying it's such a snowball effect in so many different areas based on, look, you can make mistakes, but the point of, like you were saying, one, you need to acknowledge it, and two, clean it up. And they're not doing either or. They just... we're just gonna try to dance around and dance around the issue yet again, and once again trying to make it for the sake of the shield and the code. We'll give you some BS statement later, but well after the fact. That didn't help anybody in Vegas. I'm talking about for the Vegas Raiders, not necessarily Vegas to the city, but it's absurd at this point with all this damn technology, all these camera angles, all of these rule changes. And yet, this stuff continuously just keeps happening like clockwork. It's just a matter of time.
Because they're not going to the root of the problem. And we'll talk, like I said, I have some thoughts on the refs in the next segment.
Gotcha.
But there was another Saturday game that was equally fantastic. Okay. My goodness, the Bills. 7 for 7. You want to talk about perfection. This team came out, they were ready to play football.
Yeah,
7 degrees at kickoff, -7 by the end of the game, and they just routed the Patriots. The Patriots just did not come to play in this game.
No. And what kind of okay for me? What is so difficult to call these games when this matchup, I should say, this Buffalo New England thing.
Yeah.
It is because New England was the one of the top-notch playoff teams by the end of the year that seemingly caught fire mid-season.
Yeah.
And where other teams, like I'll take an example in Arizona, caught fire out the gate and then just
fizzled out hard
completely, and just gave, misrepresented themselves the second half of the year. And then you have your teams that catch fire
who
late.
We thought they were.
New England was that mid-range team, so you couldn't call them out early. You couldn't call them out late. You just didn't know, and it's Belichick, so you gave them their credit until they hit the field, and then it was like, what the hell is this?
You know what it is?
Please,
they were a true wild card.
Fair. Fair. And I just think the Belichick element just clouds everything anyway. And I know you kind of like, I can't seriously bet against Belichick and go against it. Yeah, you couldn't, but you can.
And I did.
I understand. Right. But you didn't do it with confidence. You were just like, oh my God, how much am I going to possibly lose betting against this man once again? Because it ain't really Belichick per se, it's Belichick Brady combination.
I know. It's hard now after literally my entire life watching football. All I've ever known was Brady Belichick is just that powerhouse. And so you don't have the separation of the two. I was never around when he was with Cleveland, when he was with the Giants, when he almost took the Jets job. Like I wasn't around back then. And so like I just all right.
You know what you know.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And so like when I look at Belichick, I'm just like, it's Belichick. He's the greatest coach of all time. Like how do you bet against him? But I did it. I put $50 on it and I got my return. And I got it handedly by the end of the first quarter. I was like, okay, let's go. Because they went out there. Josh Allen he's busted out as one of the best AFC quarterbacks. Not the best. He's in that top 5 of the AFC quarterbacks. He's on top 2. I think he's right there, right behind Patrick Mahomes. But
he has to be number 2. You said top 5. Like,
I was trying to be conservative
3,
about
it. 2. No. Who's 3? It doesn't matter. Best way to put it.
But he goes out there 21 for 25. As a total offense, they had 300 yards. He ended the game with 308 because they just took their foot off the gas, even though they scored another 20 points in the fourth quarter.
Did they stay on the second half? I mean, did they stay on one half of the field? Because I was confused by the yardage. Like, how did they score so many points with so little yards?
It was the fact that the defense was giving them such short fields. On top of, I mean, they ended the first half with 300 yards. So they went like they run.
I
rush
only
out
seen
all
the first quarter, so
yeah,
and I obviously missed. Obviously, I seen 14 points, but missed the whole game damn near. Regardless, I'm like, really, y'all put up 47 on the day I decided not to watch y'all?
Yeah, exactly. They just came out there. Devin Singletary had himself a day rushing the ball. I mean, 16 for 81, 2 touchdowns. But the defense is where the nicest thing came from. It was just like the defense was out there, and they made it so hard for Mac Jones to even just think straight in the cold. Like, he didn't want to be hit because it was so cold. When he got hit, it was just they were brutal shots, and then it was just a bevy of different blitz packages that he just did not know what was coming. It didn't look like he was super confused out there. It's just like, I got nothing. Like, literally, I just don't have the ability. Like, and then you got guys like Jacoby Meyer dropping passes. Hunter Henry dropped a wide open screen pass. Like, it was just tough all night around. And there's a bunch of people on social media coming out talking about like, oh wow, Buffalo made New England look like the Jets and all that stuff. And it was just like, yeah, they made them look like a Pop Warner team out there. The Buffalo Bills might be.
In all fairness, I don't think the Jets would have scored 17. But go ahead.
True. No, I'm that social media. Everybody gets a little bit hyperbolic on there. But I will say this: the Bills, to me, outside of the Chiefs, might be the hungriest team in these playoffs.
Hungriest? Well, yeah. As they should be.
I don't see any other team with that type of just like, no, we're going to step on your throat, and I'm not gonna let my foot off, because if I do, that's when you're gonna get me. And it's like they played that game like they were like they were like the kid that was bullied and he finally snapped type play.
Gotcha. And I would have gave only one other team could have qualified for that, and unfortunately, they're not in the playoffs anymore. That would have been Dallas.
Yeah. But Dallas definitely was not hungry.
Right. Not a segue.
We'll get back to them in a minute.
Yeah. So absolutely. And I got a hot take for this Buffalo Kansas City matchup when we get into our next segments. But
okay.
Just want to throw that caveat out there. If I don't bring it up, remind me.
I will. But no, this was just I was super impressed. They had the most efficient offense basically of all time. Never has happened before in NFL history in the playoffs. 7 for 7. 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. Just they could not be stopped. And this is coming off of a New England defense that was, I believe, if not top 5, top 10 at worst. And so, I mean,
it's true. But what I've seen, something that you have not, limited history, and I've seen it so many times now, dating back to the 90s, that just playoff football in Buffalo. You playing against Buffalo late December, early January. More than likely, either you playing with like 16 inches of snow or it's
negative
brutally
7 degrees,
cold. Yeah. And I'm like, they're playing Boston. It's not Buffalo.
I don't want to. Everybody kept like hammering home. It was so cold. I'm like, they're playing New England. Like, I get it. It's not as cold. It's like the difference between Chicago and Kansas City. No. Like it's cold in Chicago. It's cold in Missouri, but it's freezing in Chicago.
Better yet, it's the difference between Chicago and Minnesota. If Minnesota was playing outdoors.
Yeah. The reason why I didn't do that is because they don't play outdoors.
I'm just saying in general,
or weather, Chicago and Green Bay.
Yeah, it's just weather in itself. Like it's just, it's cold, but then there's brutally cold.
Yeah.
And this game, and people could say, well, Buffalo was out there in it as well, but they're more accustomed to this kind of weather.
I don't agree with that. I just, people keep saying that, and it's just like you both have to play I would have that sentiment if it was Kansas City. Since it's Buffalo, you're both in negative 7 degrees. You have to get up to play. We've seen it time and time again with like teams like Green Bay.
But I'm just saying, then you have to start breaking down personnel. Your players, where did they come from? Which colleges did they play?
That would be
You know what I'm saying? And some of these guys, say what you want to say, for those 2 or 3 games this season that they got to play in this type of weather, they just don't perform well, or they don't, and I'm not saying that that's a sole factor. I just think that it factored into it to some degree. It shouldn't have, consider they're Boston, but I'm just making a point that Buffalo just has some really crappy weather in the winter. Like, and I'm just saying, if it ain't you buried under snow, you got this. And and like I said,
or you have the game that we had a couple of weeks ago with these two teams in particular, where it was 40, 50 mile per hour winds, and you literally just could not throw the ball.
Yeah, that's something. I mean,
there's some weather event when you have to play.
Weather factored into these two teams playing each other for whatever reason this year. But
every game.
But with that being said, Buffalo definitely proved that they were the superior team. Take these records: it's 11-6, 10-7. Buffalo was that team from last year. Okay.
Yes.
Did they drop a few games here and there? They did. Can't explain why they did all of that, but they showed me they were the team that we thought
they would be. This is the team that I thought we would see all season long.
Exactly.
This is what I was waiting for, and I was so excited to see it on Saturday.
And they righted that ship from the first upset of this New England game with this game
They've blown New England out 2 times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. And
I mean, they actually routed this team.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe that New England loss woke them up, because from that point on, they have been a scary, great team down the stretch. And then now against a Belichick led them back to the playoffs. Belichick got them back on track without Tom Brady. 10-7, almost won a division, and then got routed like a team that had no business being in the playoffs.
Hey, if Miami can figure it out, this might become the best division in football. If Miami can just figure it out.
And this is what I was used to seeing in the 90s. Miami getting routed in Buffalo in January. It's Miami. You can't. This is why Dan Marino cannot get to the Super Bowl. If the Super Bowl has to keep going through a place like Buffalo, it was time until I watched it year after year after year, and now so I'm saying to your point, I got a little nostalgia from the whole Vegas. And Cincinnati Bengals thing going. I'm like, okay. Then I'm like, okay, Buffalo, -7. I'm like, oh, this is following suit like I'm used to seeing back in the day. And then, and I can even say back in the day, New England was not a thing.
Yeah,
not at all back in the 90s or the 80s or, the 70s.
For 1 year in the 80s.
On a fluke. I don't even want to get there.
Because Dan Marino couldn't get there.
A 6-seeded Stop. I don't even know how they even lost that game. Oh, my God. But for the ultimate rematch game in the Super Bowl. Moving on.
Let's go to the Sunday.
Damn. Moving on.
Oh, God. For anybody from Chicago understands what we're even mentioning, what we're even hinting at that point. No, but Sunday was like another just fantastic day of football. 3 games, all great. Oh, my God.
Yes. And Kansas City was one of them. They finally played on a Sunday.
Yeah, it's true.
That is something you do not see in the first round.
Well, that's because they're also not the first seed.
Yeah, that's the other. Okay.
Because usually the first seed plays on Saturday.
And usually the first seed does not play on the first week.
Well, yes, obviously that. But I'm saying the first seed usually plays on Saturday because they have that bye.
Oh, that's right.
But regardless. Moving on. Sunday football. It started with, the GOAT just comes in and just shuts this whole Jalen Hurts nonsense down. He might single-handedly just got Jalen Hurts fired from the Philadelphia Eagles right there.
Maybe, and I think
I don't agree with
that's such a disgusting statement that Philadelphia is so unloyal.
God, it is.
My
for
God.
The city of brotherly love. I don't understand what the issue is with Jalen Hurts.
They don't understand what love means.
You know what?
My Lord.
But this is what I said at the beginning of the year. They are more infatuated with the next quarterback that they will not build around the guy that they have. They did it with Carson Wentz. They did it with Nick Foles. And now they're doing it to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. I was thinking back. Who did they have before them? Just a slew of nobody. So it didn't matter.
Sam Bradford. They traded him away. They were just like, yeah.
Michael Vick for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't really, which they
Donovan McNabb
transformed this whole damn game to being a pocket passer, and he became a shell of himself. Moving on. I thought they erased his career.
They don't believe in having a franchise quarterback as a franchise. Like as an organization, they don't believe in it.
And I was saying that to say I was going back even further. I have not seen them really seriously commit to a quarterback since Randall Cunningham. And this is early 90s.
That's insane.
Yeah.
God, I just...
And please comment if you got another name you want to throw out that maybe I forgot somebody late 90s, early 2000s.
At this point, I'm just wondering, what am I not seeing in Jalen Hurts that... Because, obviously all of Philadelphia has watched him way more than I have. So they've got more experience with it. But from what I've seen, every single time I turn on and I watch Philadelphia Eagles, I've said this for like a month straight now. Mm-hmm. Every single time I watch the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts is the only thing that I like about that team.
Let me tell you what's helping your lens versus most of the rest of most of the population around the country.
Yeah.
You have a special lens, and it's called being a Bears fan. We have this lens for scoping out bad quarterbacks. We know what bad quarterback play look like. Now, it's not even a pun. I'm being serious. Why are you laughing at me? I'm serious, though. We know what a bad quarterback looks like.
Yeah.
It ain't Jalen Hurts.
It's not.
Let me be very clear. If we didn't have Justin Fields, could we have him, please?
And that's the other thing, because I was very critical of Jalen Hurts going into this season. When we were talking about this team, he was the reason why I had them at 3-14. Like, I just did not see because those last 6 games that he started last year, I just didn't see it. I did not see what they built around him to make him any better. But he developed. He's gotten his feet wet this year, and he just went out there and all he did was ball this year.
And let's be real, he barely had 2 targets this whole season, barely. And I'm being very gracious here. He didn't have any weapons, and that's a
dude that has to throw to Jalen Reagor for this entire season. I'm sorry, that where Jalen Reagor has been one of the biggest busts in all of draft history. And I know all of you Philadelphia fans can 100% agree with that because that's all you guys talk about on goddamn Twitter. That and the fact that you want to move on from Jalen Hurts for some reason.
Yeah, good Lord. I'm looking at even who is outside of Goddard and Smith, which are the 2 I'm talking about. 4 of his other receivers were all running backs that he targeted. I'm like, and then Reagor, he
trash.
1 for 2.
I'm gonna say it, trash.
1 for 2 with 3 targets. I'm only saying that I think he targeted him too many times with 3. I'm like, I wouldn't even look this guy's way if Quez Watkins. I don't even know who that is, and I don't even know who the number 2 wide receiver was all season. I have no clue.
Yeah, Reagor.
Oh my God, no. I never even considered him on the depth chart that high. And
that's all they had.
Quez Watkins had to be coming from the practice squad, I'm guessing.
If they would have had a veteran wide receiver, Devontae Smith would have had one of the most, like, that would have been a career season for Devontae Smith.
His name is Devontae or Devonta?
I say Devontae.
I'm not sure. I'm just okay. Go ahead. Moving on. It's just the way.
Yeah, it's just how it's spelled. But regardless, I just, if they would have had a guy, you have to think about the fact that they had the chance. It was sitting right there in front of them. They again could have had Justin freaking Jefferson and Devontae Smith this season. To go along with Jalen Hurts in the backfield, and maybe if they have those 2 guys, Miles Sanders doesn't get hurt as much as he does.
Right.
Like, they had the perfect setup for them to be able to get that, and they fumbled the bag harder than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah. So we back to the fan base want to start at the quarterback and work their way backwards. So now, what your prediction was for Philadelphia this last offseason, maybe you want to reserve it for this next coming up, because now I am souring on Philadelphia because outside of, again, those 3 pieces, I don't see much upside here offensively for them. And defensively, they're just kind of a middle of the road defense. If
that's going to take some work, and they are in a rebuild, and it's just because the funny thing is they've got 3 of the top 19 picks in this year's draft, so they've got a really good chance at rebuilding and hitting on a couple of picks to get some key guys that can come in and really contribute early on.
I see them getting 2 quarterbacks and a kicker with them first 3, doing something really backwards. But
let's talk about the team that won this game, though. By the way, the score of this game, I don't think I mentioned it: 31-15. Buccaneers rout the Philadelphia Eagles.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Did the Buccaneers score 31 straight before?
Yes. Okay. That is. I
just want to make sure. I just want to put that on record that until they scored 31, then Philadelphia decided to show up.
No. Philadelphia scored their 15 in garbage time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, better way of putting it.
Yeah.
They had 15 garbage points.
They were absolutely blown out in this game. But Brady, 29 for 37, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns. Missing both Rojo and Leonard Fournette, Keyshawn Vaughn comes to step in, 17 carries, 53 yards, a touchdown. Mike Evans, he's got to be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL right now. 9 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown for him.
You know what the problem is? Why he, granted, he was, Jameis Winston, and he was the guy, hands down. When Brady got over there, what clouded this whole Mike Williams element wasn't so much Godwin. It was him bringing Gronk with him.
Yeah.
That's what just, and then you just add AAB, another target. It's just like, it just watered him down to this weird in-between target monster in the red zone, but then he's not really a chain mover. You know what I'm saying? You was just like, you couldn't put your finger on what he could bring to the table outside of, you play him straight up, but you know what I'm saying? But you just couldn't really game plan for him. And it's just now you take you take all these targets away, these assets, and now we get to see the old Mike Williams and
Mike Evans.
Mike Williams. Mike Evans. Sorry, Mike Williams. I apologize. You over there in LA on the couch with the rest of us, and moving on. And so we see a vintage Mike Evans, but now we get to see him like solely Evans Brady combo type. I don't know, but when it comes to fantasy next year, he's definitely gonna be on my list. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know depending, because Godwin is a free agent this year. Gronk might retire again. Like you never know. So
I'm just saying he's a steady piece that's been there the whole time.
With AB being gone for sure, his target share is gonna go up next year.
That's what opened my thing. Yeah, and Ty Johnson is his name. Because Tyler Johnson. He's not. He doesn't threaten me at all as a number 3 receiver. No. Oh my God, that dude is
the guy that does threaten you for the number 3 is Scotty Miller, though.
What happened? That's what I was trying to say. He must be injured, because I'm like, why is Ty Johnson getting all this playing time? And I'm like, because at best, I'm like, he should be 5th on the depth chart.
It's just the fact that I think for some reason it must be something that happened this offseason that Scotty Miller is become one of his favorite targets, because it seems like it's just a chemistry thing with those two. Looks like Ty Johnson probably just was like, I'm gonna take my vacation, and Scotty Miller was like, no, I'm gonna work with the GOAT type situation. So that might be the reason.
And that's who I'm expecting. I was expecting to see a Scotty Miller and an OJ Howard breakout, and maybe still more football to be played, but those are 2 targets. Like, you can't sleep on these 2 players.
I'm gonna say OJ Howard. He's gonna be somebody in DFS that people need to be looking at, because he's gonna be a guy that's like, in the next few weeks, when they start locking up Mike Evans, because that's the only wide receiver that they really have, not really too threatened by Scotty Miller. And then the only other guy you got to cover is Rob Gronkowski. They're going to be coming out in these 2 tight end sets. You got to just hope they don't come back with Leonard Fournette and Rojo at some point, because if those guys come back with Keyshawn Vaughn, you got a 3-headed monster in the backfield. You've got a 3 tight end package that you can have. Plus, you've got these little speedy guys in Ty Johnson and Scotty Miller, and then one of the most physical, dominant wide receivers in the game right now in Mike Evans. It's just, this is a scary Tampa Bay team if they can get healthy. That's the problem.
And Giovanni Bernard has returned.
True. Giovanni Bernard is back. He had himself a day as well. But this is what this is the reason why I don't think the Buccaneers are going to win the NFC. They keep losing key players. Ryan Jensen and Tristan Wirfs are both down right now. Ryan Jensen, it's almost a guarantee he's not playing next week, and Tristan Wirfs is going to be a game time decision on the offensive line. And you're going up against the Rams defense, who we'll talk about in a minute, who finally is getting all of their guys back, and they are looking like one of the scariest defenses in all of the NFL. I'm sorry, Brady, but hey, it might be time to hang it up if that's the defense you're going to have to go with that depleted offensive line.
I mean, January football in Tampa is not that bad.
Yeah, so. It's not.
So that's going to be, oh my God, wait till we get to the next week's game. But go ahead.
So that's just me. Tampa Bay is really, really hurt right now. They are limping into the divisional round right now, hanging on to a thread, because they lose another guy. It's just like, oh, well, that's it. Like, Mike Evans goes down, Rob Gronkowski goes down, Keyshawn Vaughn goes down. Anybody on the defense goes down. I feel like that entire thing implodes because they just they already have no DBs. So, like,
the defense has been suspect. They've been finding ways, but when you start getting to, we kind of gotten past the middle of the road teams, the pretenders.
No, this is going to be.
This is it.
Yeah, these are real teams. I mean, we'll talk about it, because the teams that are left are all like anybody in these teams could be in the Super Bowl.
Right, and it's, I mean, you can make a case for all of them.
Yes,
it's not one of those, oh my God, we got that one Cinderella team. No Cinderellas made it through. So, and rightfully so for a change. Because You always get that one
Yeah.
outlier thing that you know,
It makes the divisional round so watered down. You have one game where you're basically sleeping through until you get to a good one.
Yeah,
You gotta hope it's not the Sunday night cap.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, you're getting some kind of Green Bay Giants type game. You're like, it's something like, it'd be like,
Disgusting.
how did you? Oh God, yeah, you would draw that type of matchup. All that's out the window. Thank goodness. We took care of all that in the first round.
We have the best teams in the NFL right now.
Yes, and that's even including one road team winning, which was a legit one. That was San Francisco. But to your point, I'm still on I'm not on the fence with the Buccaneers. I know I have not said that they would or would not go advance this and that. I don't think they was going to win or be in the Super Bowl or making a return. But to your point, I can see them, next week could be the end of the line for them.
I mean, that was one of the things that I was just thinking about watching this game. I was like, yeah, I handedly had them going up against Philadelphia. I had no worries about taking them there. But the fact that you couldn't escape that game without losing two major pieces to your offense, to your team as a whole, come on, you guys got it. What is happening with that training staff out there that's causing this? Because this is, yes, I know it's 2 ankle injuries, but it's like, wow.
And we've seen this last year in Kansas City.
Yes.
So if this is just the beginning of a foreshadowing of them just falling to pieces one week after the next, yeah, you can go ahead and start penciling them out of the playoff advancement, and just moving on, and it's a good run and that's great, but father time and father injuries usually win out time and time again. So
you want to talk about fizzling out? Oh my goodness! I mean, granted, did not have this team as a NFC powerhouse, or a team that we thought were going to the Super Bowl. But come on, Dallas, the hell was that? And before we get into this, I want to give you your props because you this entire season have hit home the point on Dallas that nobody else that I know has been talking about. They are not going anywhere with the coaching that they have. And I will say it, the reason they lost this game is because of Mike McCarthy. And I'll say why after you get to talk about it, because I think you deserve to have the floor to talk about Dallas for a second here.
I'm going to start first as a precursor. I didn't target any Dallas players in fantasy this year for this very reason.
You sent one on my way.
Exactly. I even bowed out of one, Ezekiel Elliott himself. But it's Mike McCarthy. God. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but let me be very clear about Dallas. He is a bad coach for Dallas and for a lot of teams in the league. And specifically for the type of caliber team. Mike McCarthy is not a good coach for a contending team. He is not that kind of coach. He is not that type of coach that's going to put you over. Don't tell me about, he won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Hell, any one of us could have sat on the sideline with that team and won a Super Bowl.
I think number 3 defense in the NFL.
He did nothing special in Green Bay.
Most talented quarterback in the NFL history.
No, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers called and dictated most of his own plays anyway. And if he didn't like it, he probably called an audible. And hell, he was a Hail Mary giant, which it was not a play at all. That's all him. That had nothing to do with Mike McCarthy outside of a bad play that broke down and he found a way to succeed in it. Then Dallas picks this guy up. From the moment they signed him, I've had a problem with Dallas. I'm like, what? This is not going to work. I never understood the signing. I'm not one of these armchair quarterbacks after the fact. I have consistently,
You've been saying this all year
with Mike McCarthy. And now this year when they all of a sudden turned Zach is back. They're back on track. The defense they finally got the defensive pieces that they needed sorely was missing from last year, this year. And they were an overachieving defense, in my opinion. But nevertheless, a good defense. So they were a real legit playoff team. I'm not necessarily saying they was a Super Bowl contender now. If they caught lightning in the bottle, all bets are off for any team if they catch lightning.
I mean, that offense itself can get you to the Super Bowl.
But that offense was amazing.
Yes.
God. Injuries are not amazing. They literally, to me, was like next man up, whoever. It just step in. Cedric Wilson steps in. He ain't necessarily one catching
Cedric Wilson almost got the catch that would have sealed this game.
I was going to say, he's not necessarily he'd be the one catching all the touchdown passes, but he kept you honest, and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, all of them just killing you. Then you got Tony Pollard, who looks, for 2 seasons have looked so much better than Zeke, even though I am a Zeke fan and I would take Zeke any day over Tony Pollard. But yet, when it came to the eye test, Tony Pollard wins the eye test every single time. And yet you got this 2-headed monster that they never even declared that was out there and just, chomping up yards. If one couldn't get it going, just go to the other one.
Yeah.
And if for some reason they thought that they didn't want to do any running, guess what? We're going to run option plays, throw the ball, and we're going to let Dak run. And you can't stop this kind of offense technically. The only thing that can stop it is, guess what?
Itself.
Mike McCarthy and his horrible play calling. And play calling, time management, clock management, and all of that, all the above. When it comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road, this guy can't get the job done. They could tell me, hey, they're 12-5, they were this, and they were that, and Jason Garrett has only hit 12 win seasons in a decade.
Did he?
In a decade. They were just, hold on. Mike McCarthy got his second one in his second year. Give him 8 more years. I guarantee you he might get one more. That's how I'm not even taking it. I just want to measure that to show that does not mean Mike McCarthy has turned the corner here. All he has done is he's taken an overly talented team and let that team do what they do. And they got you that the team alone can get 12 wins. Guess what they can't do? The coach has to come into the play to get them playoff wins. That's where you come in. What did we watch? A complete debacle of a wasted season is the way I look at it. I'm not even a Dallas fan, but that is a waste of a season. And now that there's discussions, is Mike McCarthy right for the job? Is he not? The only thing that disgustes me about the conversation is the fact that y'all really want to have this conversation now, or a reactionary conversation. See, I'm not having a reactionary conversation. I am responding and commenting and continuing a long-standing narrative that I have been having all year long. Mike McCarthy is the number one move that they need to make in the offseason. Their personnel is fine. They need to move. They need to change coaching staffs.
It's disappointing because we have Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones' son, who's the executive vice president of football operations over in Dallas, saying that he has full confidence that Mike McCarthy will be the head coach next year.
And this is why Dallas has not been doing anything for
26 years.
Which, by the way, personally, don't care. I don't keep tabs on none of this. I remember when they won the 3 out of 4. I was just happy that San Francisco and Green Bay wasn't winning back in the day. That's kind of where I was back in the 90s, because I was kid. I was not a big Steve Young fan. Joe Montana had moved on.
Yeah.
And I never was. I mean, I respect Brett Favre, like how you respect Aaron Rodgers. I don't like Aaron Rodgers personally. See, it's different generation. Yeah. I don't even like him at all. I'm like,
I respect
you're no
as well.
Brett Favre, sir. I'm sorry to say that. Then when he got his little,
that's a whole nother.
And he got his whole little title, and they were like, oh, he already has one, and he's already tied.
Back to
still
Dallas.
tied.
Back to Dallas.
Still tied, by the way. So now we come back, and now here we are. 26 years they haven't made it. This is why y'all haven't made it. It's these type of these type of hires that they do. What, Jerry Jones? What is it? What was it that you? I don't understand this. I still don't understand his hiring. Is it because he just felt he had championship experience and he came from a stellar franchise? Everything was right in Green Bay, but him. I didn't like him in Green Bay. I thought he sucked. He gave me that same vibe what I used to see with like Childress in Minnesota. He has like this one chip. He has Adrian Peterson. He has 3 plays he can keep calling, no matter what. But other than that, he can't seriously call a game. It's just, we're first and goal on the 4. We're gonna just run it all 4 times. If we don't get in, we don't get in. He has nothing. I'm not saying that you ain't supposed to throw the ball, but my point being is he has. That's all. If it is Adrian Peterson or bust, and for him, I've always seen it. It was Aaron Rodgers or bust. Like Aaron Rodgers making you. You're not making Aaron Rodgers, and now you don't have Aaron Rodgers. Now you have, and you've been given and been blessed with a overly talented team on both sides of the ball, and yet you still can't move the needle in the playoffs. And I'm not saying I'm taking nothing away from San Francisco, but you set yourself up to show me who you really are. You are a fake and a fraud, man. And I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with this guy at all as a coach. And for Dallas, I'm telling you now, sell now, cut your losses now, because I'm listening to chatter on the radio. They say, well, if they give him one more year to see what you. That's the whole Seattle syndrome. Why are you even going to prolong the inevitable? Put yourself behind another year. You don't even know what next year is going to bring. But let me tell you what it's going to end like. Probably not even the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because teams are getting better around you.
The fact that they missed this, they're in salary cap hell now. $100 million contract to Amari Cooper, $140 million contract to Dak Prescott, $90 million contract to Ezekiel Elliott.
So you know what's going to happen now? They're going to keep McCarthy and find a way to shell off Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
Because now all of a sudden, Elliott has to take the hit because of this fool. Your workhorse, the one who revitalized your damn offense and identity as Dallas once the whole Romo syndrome went away.
And they're gonna do the same thing that they did right before they got Zeke. And they're going to try to ride the DeMarco Murray train for that 3-year stretch.
It was DeMarco Murray and Darren. Oh God, what was his name?
The Darren Fells?
No. That was the tight end. No. Oh God, why is his name leaving me right now? It was him, and it was because he was the part of
DeMarco Murray took his job.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the other guy was.
It was the guy right before. Yeah. And they both did exactly the same thing for 2 straight years, virtually 3 technically. But yeah, they was riding that little train, and then they finally got Ezekiel Elliott, and then they just moved on and then built the team.
I think it's going to be a repeat of that. And then all of a sudden, I think maybe in 2-3 years, they're going to start talking about, well, do we have to move off of this Dak contract?
That was exactly where I was going to go. They're going to just. They're just going to waste Dak's precious years here, prime years, and as we go doing this addition by subtraction. But guess what? Mike McCarthy got to sit at the helm and coach this crap into the ground.
But here's the point I wanted to make about this game.
Go ahead.
This is what I've already said it with Matt Nagy. I've said it with Urban Meyer. Each one of these guys have had a game that was a fireable offense. And the reason why this specific game is Mike McCarthy's fireable offense is because you're the most penalized team in all of the NFL this season. I think 127 penalties coming into this game. That by itself is horrible. But with that being the case, you know it's going to be a tough game versus San Francisco. You know this is going to be a dogfight. You know all Jimmy G does. He just wins. He just wins games, and you cannot give them any inch, because if you give them anything, they will take it and they will run with it. You have to be as disciplined as possible, and you had 14 penalties, 8 of which that either took away a first down that you gained, or gave San Francisco a first down because of just pre-snap or just bad discipline by your team. And that all comes with preparation. That all comes with that week before saying, these are the things that we got to clean up. These are the things we got to focus on. These are the things that we need to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. And you had, I think, 7 penalties or maybe 8 or 9 penalties going into halftime. We're making no halftime adjustments about discipline. We're not hammering home the fact that we're down by multiple scores going into halftime at home, and we're the ones doing it to ourselves. We're not gonna make that point to our roster. We're not gonna say anything. to anybody about that? The entire offensive line, one of the best offensive line, the one that actually blocked the referee from spotting the ball and stopping you from spiking it so you can get one more play off?
How about you block for your damn running back for a change?
Or your quarterback for a change.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Man, just, block
the
for the
one
right
touchdown
people.
that they had was on a scramble play because Dak could not get any time in the pocket. But regardless, 14 penalties, 8 of which that were extending drives for San Francisco or ending drives for you. What did you expect was going to happen?
In a team that undisciplined, you cannot even put them in a serious Super Bowl contention conversation.
No, but this is why I say what the point that you made earlier. The talent on this team is insane because you're only one possession away from winning the goddamn game after 14 penalties. Are you kidding me?
And basically 3 damn quarters of nothing going, of football. Just. And again, all of this goes back to Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
And they can say that, well, you got the coordinators and other trainers and bump all of that.
On top, just one more thing that is his fault is that last play. You have the headset on. You know what Kellen Moore is saying. Let's run a draw play with 14 seconds left. Everybody in the entire NFL knows if you don't have a timeout, you cannot run a play under 16 seconds without a timeout because you won't be able to clock it. We know this. This is something ingrained in any NFL fan who's been watching more than 5 years knows that statistic. 16 seconds is the magic number.
Gotcha.
We all know that. How the hell do you not know that, Mike McCarthy?
I don't know. He should have been screaming in Dak's ear to slide at some point. And I know there's been some mention of this, but even if Zach couldn't catch it, because, of course, if you're San Francisco and being a little bit smart, you kind of zone out and just let them keep running because you want them to run the seconds off, and then you tackle him, because you're not going to get in the end zone, but you let them get, if you're going to give up 7 extra yards, nobody cares. You're not kicking a field goal.
Yeah,
so,
you can't kick a field goal.
You got to clock it. I'm like, you probably won't get it off, and they didn't. And yes, there was a debacle at the end where they could have possibly might got it at 1 second, but to your point, you can't put yourself in that type of position when you're sitting there scrambling, trying to make a comeback. And
but especially, and this is what you put on Dak, because on that play, Dalton Schultz is wide open. He is sitting in the flat 15 yards down the field. Not in the flat. He's sitting in the middle of the field, 15 yards down the field, with nobody within 30 yards of him. Just throw it to him. He can get out of bounds, and you still have 4 seconds left to run a play.
Just beeline out of bounds and be done. Set it up for at least.
Or he can slide and give it to the judge, and he can put it down.
I'm gonna say, just give yourself one more play, and it just lack of communication. Again, lack of discipline. It's just a complete mental breakdown, which over the 26 years we have seen this time and time again. So this does.
Stephen A's right about this.
This kind of extends a little bit beyond McCarthy, but when you bring in a McCarthy in, you're just perpetuating the issue that's just already there. He's not here to clean that up. That's all I'm really getting at.
Now, here's a question I would have, because we haven't talked about San Francisco at all, and my question has nothing to do with San Francisco either. We'll talk to him in a second. So any San Francisco fans will get to how great that team was.
Got to talk about the one home team that lost. I'm going to do my due diligence on this Mike McCarthy. Thank you for giving me that time, because I'm like, oh, my God.
But here's a question that I would have for you. If they do come to their senses, because granted, it was Stephen Jones that made the statement that he says that he believes Mike McCarthy will be back. He's not the one who's going to be making that decision. So if Jerry Jones wakes up and is just like, can't do it, gotta get him out of town, however Jerry Jones might go about that. If that's the case, what would you think about them trying to retain Kellen Moore or Dan Quinn as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Or do you think that they need to go outside of the organization to find their guy?
I'll answer both of those. I think it's a 2-prong answer. They could do either. They could do both. Either or. If they decide to stay in-house, I'm more leaning toward Dan Quinn. I don't know. I'm just not feeling the offensive coordinator. The OC
You're not big on Kellen Moore.
I'm not at all.
Okay,
It just
that's fair. I
maybe I shouldn't have watched Hard Knocks because it made it even worse for me. I was just like, dude, he didn't do nothing egregious, but it was just you didn't even pass the eye test on the documentary for me. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I don't know if all OCs operate like he do or talk like he do, because if they do, I just probably ain't gonna be. I'm just down on coordinators, but he did not impress me at all. And
okay.
I guess I'm saying it in the caveat of this. Let me be very clear.
Oh, let's hope Chicago doesn't get him then.
Let me be very clear. He doesn't impress me as an OC to a head coach like Mike McCarthy. You put them two together, I just thought they were just the dream team of disasters. It's just like, if he's probably a much better offensive coordinator with a better head coach, a better boss.
With Dan Quinn?
Possibly. I'm saying possibly. But Dan Quinn, I'm probably thinking like, look, dude, I'm gonna need you to get some more staffing in here to help you, because I'm not super big on him. But I was just saying, if they want to keep it in house, I would probably lean more toward him.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, my first choice is to outsource and get a whole new staff and get the right staff. Like when they brought in, Belichick, Parcells. However, that was a power struggle back in the day, and that's the whole Jerry Jones thing. So I'm saying that with this caveat that Jerry Jones gets the hell out of the way and allow.
That's not gonna happen.
More than likely, and I think we're done seeing Dallas win anything for quite some time, and I'm talking about until
Jerry Jones gives it up
or pass.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Until ownership passes on, and moves on. Yeah, it has to be new ownership.
But that's the issue, because if ownership passes on,
if it's gonna go to his son,
it's Stephen Jones.
But is he going to be Jerry Jones though? I don't have a problem with an owner. I have a problem with Jerry Jones as an owner and all.
What scares me is the fact that we had after any playoff game, whether you win or lose, who the hell has ever heard, oh, let's go get the executive vice president of football operations to discuss the game?
That's interesting.
Stephen Jones is the executive vice president of football operations. Why are you talking to the media after a football game?
I'm not even. Well, where he come from? Exactly. So
that's what I'm saying. I think he is the same as his father.
Yeah, this Jones family. He's not selling it outside of his family. That's an inheritance.
That's staying with. That's what I'm saying. Because if whether he gives it up before he passes or he passes, unfortunately, it's going to stay within the Jones family, and I'm almost guaranteeing Stephen Jones is going to be the man to run the team.
And that's why I'm going to say what I'm saying again, just to make sure that everyone on here hears me. Dallas is never going back to the Super Bowl under the Jerry Jones era or reign, I'll say. I don't see it. As much of a Ezekiel Elliott fan that I'm not even against Dallas. I actually like Dallas as a franchise, just in general. I like what they built back in the day. I thought they were very cocky and some a-holes, but Michael Irvin,
I like the organization.
But the organization
I don't like
itself.
The fans. The fans are just like.
I still have never tossed.
We talked about this, I think, before. I have run into some just arrogant, cocky, delusional Cowboys fans, and this is why I'm 100% on Stephen A's side, because he has the same sentiment that I do.
Okay,
it's like, I don't have a problem with Jerry Jones. I don't have Jerry Jones. Sorry, you're just not a good GM, but that's neither here nor there. But
I'm gonna go back further. He's not a good owner. Simply because he wants to do. An owner needs to learn how to stay in their lane, just like any other position, and he does not do that.
But that's.
I know what I'm saying to a degree.
I was like, because you got to take into the fact it's a $6 billion franchise. I mean, that's a damn good owner, if you will, if I say so myself.
He inherited it historically great franchise.
It was $2. I mean, but he's turned it over threefold. But when he got it, it was a $2 billion franchise. Now it's a $6 billion franchise.
But he got it years ago too.
I know.
The economy, I get that. Yes, and if anybody, unless you in the red for some strange reason, then you ain't doing right. Everyone should have made some kind of increase. So yes, all I'm saying is he did what he was supposed to do.
That portion as an owner, yes.
Sure.
I agree with you.
Wonderful.
Him trying to be the GM, the president, the whatever else he's trying to get his hands into. Yeah, I agree. He is way too hands-on.
Players operations and all this other.
He is way too hands-on as an owner. And I said this before they even went through this whole process with Zeke and Dak in this new era, when they were still halfway decent with Jason Garrett, and they were 8-8 multiple years in a row with Jason Garrett and Tony Romo.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying, just move out, just go hire a GM. That's all you got to do. Because obviously you've already come to because at this point you've come to your senses. You can't be the goddamn head coach. Like, you just know that. Right. And so you keep hiring head coaches, but clearly you're too tactile. Just take a step back. If you want to win another Super Bowl before you pass, go hire a GM. It's what we've been saying for the last decade. Go get a goddamn GM.
Get the right one, because you've had all the right coaches. Let me be very clear. Even
besides
when they
Mike
won,
McCarthy.
I'm talking about during their
I don't agree with Jason Garrett. I don't think he could have won.
When they've been successful, you've had the right coaches. But what I've seen, and I've seen this at the highest level with them, you have a dynasty. You win 3 out of 4 years, back-to-back championships, and the whole damn time, I'm getting this there, and I've seen it before in another sport, but the whole damn time you're feuding with a Hall of Fame stellar head coach in Jimmy Johnson,
mm-hmm.
collegiate and pro level. You don't have a lick of coaching on your DNA nowhere, and yet he's winning games. He inherited the team as a coach at 1-15. See, coming off a 1-15 season, that's with a Troy Aikman. That is with an Emmitt Smith, and then they finally built the team after that for the next 2-3 years and built a powerhouse. And you're feuding with this guy the whole time because you want full credit. This was me. I did this, not the players, not me signing, bringing Deion Sanders over on retainer from San Francisco. I mean, and gave him I forgot what his contract. It was ridiculous at the time, but had a ridiculous contract for a defensive back, and yet none of them get the credit. It was all you. Ow. And then you bring Parcells in as another one, just as an example, and you just waste over this dude. And I'm like, this guy almost took 3 franchises to the damn Super Bowl. 3. And you got an issue with this guy. So it's just showing me there's the least common denominator here is you. He's the problem. And there's 26 years. Oh, my God. Tony Romo can't get it done. Jason Garrett can't get it done. This guy can't get it done. We bring Keyshawn Johnson. Oh, he can't get it done. We bring that. I can just name player after player after player. It's always they can't get it done. No, Jerry. You can't get it done. And because you can't get out of your own damn way. Because guess what an owner's number one factor is, what an owner should be doing?
Getting out of the damn way.
Owners own. Sit your ass down and not be the owner.
Sit in the box. Go ahead and watch the games.
And stay your ass in that box. Yeah.
The fact that he was so prominent on Hard Knocks was a problem.
I'm not watching it to hear Jerry Jones. Don't nobody give a damn about who the owners are from team to team. Mr. Hunt in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing the championship to Kansas City in my lifetime. I don't know a damn thing about you in your life and what you do outside or inside of of what goes on in the inner workings of Kansas City or outside of any other ventures of JB Hunt trucking and all this other stuff that you got. I don't personally care. It's not I'm not watching it because of you. I'm watching it because of what you put out there. And that's it. When they won the Super Bowl, when his press conference came up, guess what? I went back to celebrate when they won the Super Bowl. I'm not listening. I don't care what you have to say outside of this. I got some word that they were going to bust the team up. Then I want to hear what he has to say. But that's not the case.
All he said was this goes to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and all the people that have contributed to this.
Following a proper owner's model. Any other owner outside of Jerry Jones would have said something very similar to that. Whether you don't even have to mean it. But real talk, because of Jerry Jones and what we've seen for over 2 decades, sit your ass down. I'm done they will never win a Super Bowl with Jerry Jones at the helm.
Let's talk about San Francisco, because we've completely overlooked them.
20 minutes on one side
maybe
of the ball.
30. I don't even know.
Wow. Oh my God. That started with Mike McCarthy to Jerry Jones. No, I'm out on both.
Yeah. San Francisco, though. I mean, I said it, and if you listen to us as looking against the spread, we called it. We got all sick. We were 6-0 against the spread this week.
I'm telling y'all.
And man, this team is one of the scariest teams. If you get them if you draw them to play this playoffs, you hate it. You hate to see it, because the second that you see that the San Francisco team is like, God damn, we're gonna have to get ran on. First of all, we're gonna have to stop the run. Elijah Mitchell has been. Oh my God, this kid is like,
I don't understand how he's doing it. I've never even made I'm probably going to say his name for the first time. I have never even mentioned Elijah Mitchell this whole year. Yes. I just have watched him from afar, because I'm like, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop, and he went out, but he's the only one who's coming back. Everybody
running back wise, every running back on San Francisco gets injured
and never come back.
Yeah,
he keeps coming back though, and he keeps coming back. And pick up right where he left off.
He doesn't slow down.
So, I mean, you got this guy, and then you got quasi Deebo Samuel, who just doing everything.
Deebo Samuel is taking that Cordell Patterson model.
Yes. And I was trying to think, like, is it really coined his model? I'm thinking, like, there was one other player I was thinking about, and it came in.
The fact that you can't even get the name it's Cordell Patterson model.
No, it was a third guy. It was three guys, but never mind.
Okay.
But Deebo Samuel is two of the three. It's a third guy. I don't know why. Never mind. But yes, and he's taking on that role. So it's now you got this quasi, running back, wide receiver.
I mean, he threw a touchdown at some point. So
just does it all, and I cannot and I will not say enough. When Superman shows up,
you won't let this go.
My God, Jimmy G.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Just know this: you might be his favorite player in the NFL.
I'm just saying, when one of these dudes go down, one of these big time that I love like a
Jimmy G to Pittsburgh.
Man, I don't like Pittsburgh. I don't like that for him. But you put him and Najee together.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
I'm just saying, when I think about it now, though, if you keep a Deontay Johnson and you still got a Clay, I think he could. Yes, he can help keep that damn franchise afloat.
I mean, if they're going to move on from Teddy Bridgewater, maybe Jimmy G down to Denver.
I love it. I love that even better.
Over to Denver.
I love that even more. He ain't got as much talent, but I think that'll be the beginning of them getting some serious talent to come over. They're going to get Jerry
Jeudy back.
True. And he'll be back 100%.
And you got Melvin Gordon, who just revitalized his career this season. I forget who the other the young kid over there.
I know what you're talking about, the other running back.
Yeah.
But they got a legit two-headed
Is that Javonte
monster.
Williams? Is it Williams? I don't know.
It is Williams.
It is, yeah.
Williams.
So yeah, Javonte Williams then. Over there, I mean, that's a two-headed monster over there, and they might even sign another running back.
And now they can get rid of that whole competition thing. Like, no, now we have like a Zeke Pollard type thing going on.
Those,
like both of these.
If
guys.
Melvin Gordon can stay healthy, God, that tandem is going to be insane, and it's going to be compounded with the fact that you're getting Jerry Jeudy back, one of the most dynamic wide receivers for the last 3 years, and you just completely got taken out of the whole rotation this year.
And you think Noah Fant was okay now? Just get him the right quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like
Tim Patrick over there too.
I like him. I like him more going there than I do Pittsburgh. I like either way. But my point is, I like Jimmy G. You put him anywhere, he's making that team better. I don't care what team it is.
Yeah.
So I'll give it back over to you. But oh God, I can't even talk about San Francisco because it's just Dallas is just horrible right now.
This game was more about the fact that Dallas lost it, but I will say this is one knock to Jimmy G. He tried giving this game back to Dallas. He single-handedly tried to put this game back in the hands. And also, I've never seen this before, but George Kittle That was pretty damn close to being a fumble there, bud.
I bet it was.
I saw that. I was like, oh no, this is the Kyle Shanahan unraveling and type situation. So that is the only scary thing about it, is that is always in the back of your mind when you're looking at this team, is just the implosion that can come. But talent wise and just on paper, this team is tough. This is when we've been talking all season about teams that are tough outs. This is one of them.
Yes,
this is a team that can get you on any given Sunday or Saturday.
And I had them slated at 2 in the division. They slipped a little bit, but I never lost sight of, like, man, I don't care what that record say. That's not a matchup I want. And for the last couple weeks, they have been on fire. The Rams, the Cowboys, they all on the road. All I'm saying is, watch out, Green Bay. And I'm serious. I am dead serious, and I'm not just saying that like, ooh, watch out, Green Bay. I hope they can beat y'all.
There's a boogeyman. No. But it's actually also this whole thing about there's some history between the two teams as of late, and I think you've probably got some statistics to talk about when we get to it.
Oh gosh.
So, let's get to nightcap. This game was also very fun to watch. We watched this one together.
The one I was waiting on.
All right, Kansas City. Talk about a team on fire. Jesus Christ. They come out slow as always, but they get the 42-21 point victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The greatest worst first quarter team playing in history of sports ever. They take
quite a while to get started in a game, but when they do, they turn it on, and it becomes a whole.
You better
ordeal.
have 28 points by the time they second quarter. I'm just saying, you better come out on guns blazing first quarter on Kansas City, or more than likely it's going to be a wrap for you. More than likely. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
So there's that. But 42 points, they're the second most efficient team in the AFC in all of the playoffs right now as a whole. And I mean, 30 for 39 from Patrick Mahomes, 404 yards, 5 touchdowns. Jerick McKinnon, this dude, he gets just a little bit of daylight, he is going to take over the game. And it's just I'm so happy for him to get out of San Francisco and get that running back injury bug off his back, because getting to watch him play football again has been such a treat.
Yes, he was. And with Kansas City's depth, and I mean depth, they had this man just sitting on the shelf, healthy, waiting, salivating. Just waiting for an opportunity, and they unleash him in the first game of the first week of the playoffs.
They didn't have to go anywhere else, but they could. And you saw them. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Brian Pringle, Robinson had a sighting on Sunday. Like, they have everything that you could ever think of. Miko Hardman, I forgot about him. Oh my! Like, it's just
Noah Gray, Blake Bell. I mean,
it just keeps going. You want to talk about depth, and then the defense. They played a very solid game. They gave up some points in the second half, but hey, it happens.
Mm-hmm. They had 6 registered running backs in that game.
How?
Ran up and down Pittsburgh.
By the way, I guess Darrell Williams. I mean, that's one guy you got to watch out for. Literally just putting points on the board for Pittsburgh.
And I'm adding the quarterback. But even with that, 6. I mean, most teams don't run out 2 running backs at any given time on any game. But they had 6 registered rushers, I should say, in the game when the game was all said and done. I'm just making a point that when I say they are deep, and they use damn near everybody, and that means they use everybody. You know.
I will say there's one person they didn't use, Josh Gordon.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to use an inactive player, but
why he's inactive is a question.
I was just going there. That somebody could please tell me why the game was how many days ago? Still don't know why he's out.
Absolutely no reason.
Anyway, I don't even know why they even put him on a list. I'm like, well, hell, you don't play him when he is active half the damn time. So
yeah,
I don't even know what they're doing with him. So maybe there's some issues and they just keep it under wraps with disciplinary in a disciplinary way, but. It's Josh Gordon, and I mean,
they don't need him, obviously.
And I'm just saying his history ain't been all the greatest, but he's still on the team and he's active in his playoffs and he's on the roster. So I mean, that's saying something as opposed to we seen what happened in the past with Le'Veon Bell or LaShawn McCoy and he's still playing. But I'm just saying it's a waste. I'm just like, man, he could have had anybody else over there helping, and I don't know. I'm soured on the guy now because he's been there long enough to like make a break and I'll see you broke. So, but with that being said, yeah, the Jerick McKinnon thing was not the greatest thing going on in the game, but I thought he was the most impactful.
I would say he was the biggest thing in this game. I mean, obviously you got the efficiency of the rest of the offense, but even without having CEH or Darrell Williams or even Derek Gore be super effective, to have a guy be able to keep you on schedule in Jerick McKinnon, who is what, third, fourth on the running back depth chart?
Was 3 or 4 because there was Darwin Thompson.
So to have a guy that's that far down on the running back poll to come in and just be this effective and keep you guys on schedule, when you get CEH back, what the hell is going to happen?
They changed their play calling up though. That's the thing.
I know. I get that.
I didn't want to say that, but it's just like, how do I not say this? Because I've watched them long enough they're a totally different team with him. Like, and it's.
So are you hoping CEH doesn't come back?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying. That's crazy. What I'm saying is I don't like how they use him. And I'm thinking I'm I love Andy Reid. I don't think Andy Reid knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows what to do with him. Like,
why? You see the talent that he has. You see what he can be.
They will put more emphasis in the run game with Williams 100-1 in regards than what they do with CEH. CEH is just kind of passively calling run plays. They stack the line. They don't even call it audible. Just draw play up the middle with him. I'm like, he's not a power back. What do you do? They don't play him to his strengths. Is what I'm seeing as a fan. I'm not. It's just a critique. It's not a.
So do you want them to use CEH like they use Jerick McKinnon?
Yes, and like how they use Derek Gore and how they use Williams.
Well, they use Derek Gore as a power back.
Yes, they do, and Williams is to a degree. And when they're at the goal line, they
just
CEH, no, they flaring them out. They just got them. You're doing all this little goofy stuff, wildcatting them, and it's just like, what the hell are y'all doing with it? Whenever he scores, I'm surprised. Like, CEH game, like it's kind of like that, and I'm so off balance with, it's like I can't call his number, like, and maybe that's a good thing for defenses. Like we don't know what to expect from this guy, but you don't utilize him enough to really be that effective, like as a decoy. So it's like. He's like one of these prototypical decoy. Like you really just got him just out there,
Yeah.
But if you got to stay honest at the same time, but not so honest because they're gonna throw the ball more times than they're gonna. It's kind of. So
it's
again,
weird.
What the hell are you doing with this dude? Like he has all the.
Well, maybe they were saving him for the playoffs because this is the time to use him if there ever was a time. So, granted, he's still not back yet. So you still got another week of the Jerick McKinnon
he's
show.
Hurt again. That's just, oh my God! This year was a fail for him. Collectively,
especially when you got other guys like Derek Gore breaking out this year and Jerick McKinnon having himself
had us up here researching was this Frank Gore's son. We didn't know who this dude was.
Dude, he had himself a day that day,
man. And then he got a couple of extra games. But the point is, now that you've seen that, we got to keep this dude honest. Like you just slouch on this dude one time. Okay, Derek Gore has 158 yards now, and 12 carries, something like that. But with that being said, they had steamrolled over your favorite team, the Steelers.
Don't ever say anything like that ever again.
The team you
do not lie.
Hear me out. The team you love to bash. So it's your favorite team that you love to bash. You let me.
No, my favorite team to bash is the Bears because I have firsthand experience with it.
You had some very good takes with the Steelers all season, and I can go back and go through volumes of finding all of this.
I do not like this team.
Yes.
By any stretch of the imagination. But I am a fan of Mike Tomlin. But I'm definitely not a fan of Ben Roethlisberger. So I will say I am going to be happy to watch some football next season without having to be subjected to just crappy quarterback play from Pittsburgh.
Well, he has to officially retire first.
Well, we'll get into it in the next segment, but there was a statement made by Mike Tomlin that makes me think that this truly is over. So we'll talk about that. But yes, you are correct in that, because he can pull a Brett Favre and say, I'm retiring. And I mean, he's been talking about retiring for damn near 5 years now, Ben Roethlisberger. And just now it's become kind of.
And let me say this.
Hit close to home.
Just in all fairness, just for this one game sample size, didn't have a bad game.
No.
At all. I mean,
did not have enough.
My point would have been
close.
this. If you can just keep that, give me 200, 250 yards, couple touchdowns, keep the interceptions low. That's suitable, but we know he can't do that for whatever reason. But it was just interesting that he actually he was really the only bright spot on the offense, to be honest. Which is not saying a lot for Pittsburgh at all. Kansas City routed this team.
It was expected.
Yeah.
This was not a shock by any stretch of imagination.
I mean, a touchdown here and a touchdown there by Pittsburgh and another touchdown. It was more so Kansas City taking a foot off the gas more than anything. 42 points in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
You know me, I was trying to.
I
wanted them to get that Buffalo record. I'm like, oh man, don't get that 49. just to. Everything for me is like a mental edge. Like, nah, bro, you do the 47, we're gonna put up 40. I said 56.
Yeah.
Now, they should have been able to.
They had
ample time to do it.
To do it.
And yet they just took their foot off the gun. I'm like, oh, come on, you're gonna fizzle out like that with 40.
They're not fizzling out. They're just protecting themselves.
They're gonna fizzle out at 42. That's how high. High.
You know what's insane? They ran out of fireworks in this game. They were going through it, and there was a tweet by the Kansas City. It was like, well, we don't have any more, so anybody can bring us some. We'll definitely take your spares.
I mean, which is interesting because I guess the fireworks, I was going to say, because it wasn't a whole lot of celebrating in the first half, even though they had 21 at the half. It
was. Second quarter, they blew the thing wide open.
I know, but the first half, that first quarter was so...
I called that Travis Kelce touchdown too.
You did. Literally, you did.
I was sitting there. I was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be a Travis Kelce 50-yard bomb. He's gonna scramble for the last 35 yards and get in the end zone."
And 2 plays later,
no, I think it was the very next play. I think it was the very next play because they went to commercial.
Was. Yeah, it was. That's okay. It was the commercial part.
Yeah.
Right? I was just like, hey, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's my scene. I wasn't expecting it, but I was just like, okay, I guess we having that type of game.
Plus, I had money riding on it, so when I called, I was just like, please, I need to have this going in halftime. But regardless, they played such a fantastic game. They're one of the best teams, and next week's matchup is going to be a doozy. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. So, completely lopsided game. Don't let the score fool you. The game wasn't close at all. That 21 is a very misleading 21. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that 14 of the 21 was in garbage time.
Yeah, basically. So. I mean, I would 7 definitely. The last touchdown was 100% in garbage time.
I'm just giving them the first half, just that 7 in the.
But also that first touchdown was such a weird touchdown. Don't really have to get into it, but
thanks for reminding me of that because I wasn't even registering how they did it until you.
We don't have to talk about it.
Darrell Williams.
Yeah,
you ought to be ashamed of yourself. He gets the Cedric Benson Award. So moving on, Kansas City is
stop bringing up Cedric Benson.
It was the worst play I've seen until Sunday.
Let's
and
talk
that
Monday.
Was the worst. So yes,
there's some Monday football that my god, this is. We want to talk about. This is the team that we wanted to see out of Buffalo all season long. This is a team in a Rams team that I was expecting this last month of the season. Take care of the football is what I said. They took care of the football and they demolished the Cardinals. Cardinals never stood a chance. They were deer in the headlights all day long.
Yeah. Let's start with the Cardinals because this is let's just get the bad out the way first. Or at least I'm going to.
Go ahead. I'll give
Because
you the floor.
I want to give you the whole stage for the Rams because this has been your squad all year. Arizona. Okay, so you obviously duped the country and myself with that 7-0 start. When I was saying that to say this, because how I had Arizona. See what Arizona did here. They got me all mixed up and messed up with this whole Arizona NFC West, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
See, them in San Francisco got me all twisted because that's where they all got flip-flopped. And so I started to see them okay, they made a jump, and they did not. That's not what happened. They took advantage of a soft schedule, a soft plethora of games, and they won the games they were supposed to at the beginning. Kind of got out the gate a little bit hotter than what was expected. All of a sudden, the whole sports world decided to just jump on the train and overhype this team, and I would say they were hyped based on, the team started winning a couple games. All of a sudden, that's just easy to say, oh, this is the team. They're rolling and so on and so forth. They can't be stopped and this and that. That ain't what happened. They got injured. And they never recovered from these injuries. The guys came back. People came and went. People went back out. But they were never the same team.
I called this a month ago. When DeAndre Hopkins went down, they never were the same. Their offense completely falls apart without him. Even James Conner wasn't benefiting from what little distraction those last 2 weeks of DeAndre Hopkins.
No, it wasn't the same, but the caveat still has to go back to week 7. Kyler Murray's initial injury started this, is all I'm getting at. The bottom fell out with Hopkins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When the bottom fell out, it came with Hopkins because even when he was still a little bit hobbled, he could trust, I've got the dude that if I just put it within 5 yards of him, it's getting caught.
And I don't know how he did it on one leg, but he would still go out there, take a play off, come
right back in and still be dynamic.
Do what you got to do, get a 7-yard catch, get the first down, take the ground, get up, hobbles right back off, take another couple plays off. Some kind of way they was making that work for as long as they could make it work.
I think it was 2 or 3 weeks of that. And then when he was just like, nah, that's the season for me. It's just like,
he wasn't getting any better. No, I mean, it was
AJ Green took a hit. Christian Kirk could never become that number 2 guy. Zach Ertz just never could blossom into what we thought he could be over there. It was so,
he was there, but it's like, but he wasn't. Yeah, he didn't step into the role or to step into the void that they were. Yeah. Nobody did. Let me just be clear. We could just go down the list. Nobody stepped up.
But then also Kyler Murray didn't have anybody that he could just trust. That it's like, hey, if I need to go to you on this play, I can go to you, and I know where you'll be. He has such a rapport with DeAndre Hopkins at this point, where it's just like that is the connection. If they're not, that is the duo. If those two aren't on the field, it's kind of like, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. If those two aren't on the field, it's anybody's game. They can blow this whole thing wide open. And James Conner kept them afloat for a couple of weeks. But
you never had him and Edmonds together really all season. Mm-hmm. So we never got to see
until yesterday.
I'm talking about for real together. Yeah. Like y'all both 100% or as close to it. But it's always like I'm coming back. I know I'm clear to play. I'll do what I can. It's a playoff game. Not saying this, but we have not really seen these two together.
James Conner played this game without even taking Toradol. He didn't get the injection because you know what it was?
What?
He did. He was afraid of the report from last year when Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured. He didn't want to have the risk be ran on him, which is it's totally valid because it's something that they say every single time you do get a shot in that area. But he was just like, no, I'm just gonna go. He basically asked the trainer, can I hurt it more? They were like, no. He was like, fine, I'll just deal with it.
And Lord behold, he scores the one sole touchdown.
James Conner's that dude now.
He is, and but yet they have a dynamic two-headed monster technically. And I'm talking about Chase Edmonds, not the rusher, the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
he is so dynamic out of the backfield.
I'm just saying, we never got to see this offense fully loaded. You know, it's like we know what they could be.
Yeah.
And it just never came into fruition. And it might never do, because we don't know what's going to happen in offseason. You know, guys come back next year, ain't the same or whatever. I just wasted opportunity. But Arizona, like I said, I think they have fooled the entire country, starting out with that 7-0, which I'm not taking anything away from. It skewed the whole philosophy and psychology of what this team was going to do going further, because they could not get past mentally nor physically their injury situation that was going on in Arizona, and it just continued to snowball all throughout the year. With that being said, now we're seeing Arizona sitting on the couch. 49ers are just moving on, and they're that team because they were always was. And that's why I was like, yeah, throw the records out of here, like, because we're looking at 11-6.
This whole division, the records don't matter.
No,
they're within 2 games of each other.
Which is why I kept saying that all year. I'm like, my God, man, you know, to whoever the last place team is going to be, which of course was Seattle.
Yeah,
you know, but I was just like, this damn. But even if your worst team is Seattle, I'm just saying that you're in a tough damn division, because
it is.
Seattle, as bad as they were, they are not an easy out either.
No.
They wasn't necessarily. They don't quite qualify as the tough out, but
well, I mean, they beat Arizona in the final week of the season and stopped Arizona from winning the division.
The games they did win were very key. That's what I was gonna say, and they can go out like early.
They early beat Indianapolis.
That's what I'm saying. They can come in your house and just smack you around and smack you right in the damn mouth, and you'd be like, I thought you was like 2-7.
And then the very next week they just completely fell apart.
You'd be like, I thought you was 4-12. What the hell? You a 4-12 team? How you beating me like just like this? You know, and so that division is so damn stacked. Where even be like, well, there's Seattle. Who have you ever seen a division stacked 1-4? No, but 3 powerhouses, and at least the 4th team is still, you got to respect them, and they because of the old coaching situation. But I don't want to get into Seattle's nonsense. But but that division by far, I've always had this. It's skewed how you look at these teams. While everybody was down on San Francisco, and I kept saying, remember I was just like, I don't know what team is coming back. That was my thing.
Yeah.
Until when I seen it, Jimmy G, okay, he's healthy most of the time. Yeah, you count this team out if you want to. I don't give a damn what you saying.
Yeah.
This dude they're gonna find a way to win this damn game. And I'm like, how the hell is Deebo Samuel continually doing it? Guess why? Because Superman keeps throwing him the damn ball. That's how. Superman knows to hand him the ball off, and he does the rest. It's just a dynamic that's going on out there. Arizona has the pedigree to do all these things, and yet we watched it implode the second half of the year. They just, a tale of two seasons in 1 year.
Yeah, it was definitely
4-6 in their last 10 games. I'm like 4-7, including the playoff. Like, just a complete drop. You talk about veering off the road into a damn ditch. This was it. The Arizona Cardinals. To my point, I give you the Rams.
I'm so proud. I just watched this team, and this is a story of everything coming together at the right time. Von Miller on the defensive end, finally, he had so many plays in this game that were just tackles in the backfield, making sure that they're getting after these guys, putting pressure on the quarterback. They harassed Kyler Murray all night long. You got even just Aaron Donald's already there, and he's still just absolutely blowing up that offensive line. On the back end, you've got Jalen Ramsey, and then a David Long Jr. who comes out of nowhere and is just an absolute stud.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, Odell Beckham is completely changing the dynamics of this offense, where Cooper Kupp didn't have a reception until the second quarter.
They have a true 1A, 1B situation. And I'm not even factoring in Robert Woods is out.
Yeah.
Oh my!
We're not even talking about that yet.
Okay,
And then
go
you
ahead.
also got Tyler Higbee, who, granted, is not the most consistent, but when he does get involved, it's almost impossible to stop.
And he's been involved quite consistently as of late.
Yeah, the last few
With
weeks,
something
they
you have not
continuously
seen from
use him. And on top of the fact that you had a guy already in Sony Michel who was super dynamic and came into this game 13 carries for 58 yards, but then you also got Cam Akers back now. And it's just like, well, damn, who do we guard? You can't double anybody because you got 3 wide receivers and a dude that can catch out of the backfield. You got a dude in Matthew Stafford who I've never seen this dude run as much as I did yesterday. I know he only threw for 200 yards, but he was scrambling on plays and getting picking up key yardage in plays where it was just like, okay, it breaks down. You guys want to cover everybody? I'll take the 7 yards you're going to give me. We'll take a nice 2nd and 3. We'll take a 3rd and 3 instead of a 3rd and 10. He did not give them the ball. He made sure that he hit Cooper Kupp when he needed to. He hit Odell Beckham right on time to keep him involved. He got Odell Beckham involved early, so he didn't tune out at any point. They stayed on schedule with a run game. Offensively, I don't know how you stop this offense. And defensively, if they can just stay healthy on defense, I don't know what offense is just going to put up 30, 40 points on this offense. I don't think any offense can. Even if they do lose some guys, I don't know if you're cracking 30 against them.
Yeah, they we unfortunately did not see that. We've been missing this Rams team for about a month. And my God, you talk about showing up at the right time.
Odell Beckham threw a pass in this game.
Yes.
Oh, and I didn't even talk about Van Jefferson.
Just saying, which he can go back to. Let's develop this guy.
Yeah, because now he's number 3 again.
Well, he's going to be number 4 when Woods come back.
I was just saying right now, though, he's the number 3. So he can just be, all you have to do is focus on, I just need to know my routes.
And needless to say, of course, Darrell Henderson Jr., 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers. I mean, all of these. Tyler Higbee. I mean, my God, you talk these damn super teams. That's all I can say. This is a super team. I'm like, yeah. I mean, Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham. Are you serious? Are you serious?
How do you stop it? You don't. This team is stacked, and for Matthew Stafford to get that monkey off of his back, finally getting that playoff win. And somebody said it earlier this week. This was going to be more pressure for him than winning a Super Bowl this year. Because for him, you get paid all this money. They made the biggest splash offseason trade for you right out the beginning, out of the gate, saying, if we get you, we're going to the Super Bowl. We have everything that we need. And then they make more trades to even bolster that whole sentiment.
I was gonna say, then they bring in Sony Michel and Odell Beckham
and Von Miller.
They added some people because that's what you're
Eric
supposed
Weddle.
to do. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
you don't sit there and we just gonna run it with what we got. If you see
Tampa Bay,
you can see you can improve yourself. Improve yourself. What are you waiting for? Don't wait till the next offseason.
They did everything right. And now, and again, like I said, this is when it's all coming together because the last month, it's been them figuring it out. It's been Matthew Stafford's trying to kind of test where his bounds are. And it bit him in the ass. He threw 8 interceptions over the last four games. It was not pretty. But they know where Matthew Stafford's ceiling is and where everybody else can take them to. You have so much talent, and then you just got a guy that is so dynamic at the helm that it's just like, all right, you get us to this point, we'll get it over the finish line.
You know what gets me most excited about the Rams?
What's that?
And it's not even an offense. It's because, I mean, we could take Dallas as an example, Kansas City, take Buffalo. And I'm saying Buffalo as well from what I'm about to say. All them offenses. Give it some deep. Green Bay to a degree, kind of like the back end of this list, but you'll take these offenses any day over virtually anybody else over the league. You know what I'm saying? You're like, if I'm given a choice, give me that one. That damn defense, that's complement. They have the best complementary. This is what I'm saying. Complementary defense.
Yep.
In any of those teams,
and they even have faced phase 4, if you will, because phase 3 is supposed to be special teams. Phase 4 is what Dallas doesn't have. They have the goddamn coaching to get it done.
Yes.
Sean McVay is one of the smartest coaches in the league. He is right up his brain. It is a toss-up between him and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick obviously has done it for so much longer. Let's not get it twisted. And Bill Belichick definitely outsmarted Sean McVay in the Super Bowl just a few years back. So let's not get it twisted. Bill Belichick still is that dude.
Yes.
But Sean McVay has proven himself. He knows football. He knows how to get these guys into, like I said, it's the little things that Sean McVay gets right, because he got Odell Beckham involved so early in the game that it was just like, well, now he can't tune out, and so I can go anywhere now. I can do anything, and you're not going to ever know where I'm going to go.
Let me do you one better. He got Odell Beckham involved no sooner did he put on the jersey. Like, did you know? I'm like, look, I was a Cooper Cup owner.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he throwing at Odell so much? I'm not even understanding. This man's been here 10 minutes, and yet
because it's how dynamic he is.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, he didn't waste any time with this guy. I wanted to really emphasize.
You want to know the other thing? You know what I thought was different before this game even kicked off? You're watching them warm up, and just just like that brotherly camaraderie that you have between Matt Stafford trying to guard Odell, just playing around while they're warming up, and Odell one hand grabbing over Matthew Stafford as they're just getting ready for the game. It's that type of camaraderie that you need in these playoff runs, because it's a long, yes, it's 4 or 5 weeks to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a long time. That's 4 or 5 weeks of playoff football. That's a long time.
Football.
Yes. And so you need to be on
not playing the Jets.
Yeah.
You know, you're not seeing them type of team. Jacksonville's not going to be on the schedule. You know, it's pedal to the metal. Smash mouth 1 week after the next. You hoping one of these teams not show up, you know, but for the most part, you in for a fight for 60 minutes, flat out, and if not 68 or 60 or 70, I don't know what the overtime period is.
Oh yeah,
in those cases. But I want to say I am very, very impressed with the Rams. I was never off of them. It was just more based on, I just never really dove on that kind of that bandwagon type of thing, in the sense of I respect this division so much. If it ain't the Rams, it could have been Arizona. If it's not Arizona, it could be San Francisco. Yeah. You give me any of these three, I respect all three of them for what they're doing. Arizona, unfortunately, and in this head-to-head, y'all just imploded, and that they've been imploding for quite some time. The only thing that saved them and gave me space to say that they could possibly pull this off before they played, of course, was the fact that the Rams were struggling for the last 4 weeks. You know, just winning but struggling. They struggling and losing. But that's the
difference.
You know?
Yeah, that was the difference. The Rams were doing it and winning, where it was just like, yeah, it was ugly, but they got it. At the end of the day, you got the win.
Yeah.
Whereas Arizona, it was just like, that was ugly, and what? Come on. And yeah, they had one nice win against Dallas, but in hindsight, Dallas, you should have won that game. So I think there needs to be a round of applause for what Arizona did this season, because I said at the beginning of the year, I thought that going into this, they were a year away. And I think this kind of proved it.
No, and I wasn't against it. I was just, when they caught fire.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, maybe they made. That's what I said.
I thought maybe I was wrong.
I think they made the jump. Like, okay, y'all just prove all doubters wrong. I was all in. You know,
I was too. I was right behind you.
I was like, good Lord. And I'm understanding there was the Rams. I understand there was the 49ers, but good Lord, they look better than all of them. I mean, and then they were just losing players here, losing another player there. Rolling.
Yeah.
That, like I said, that 7-0 start just.
It wasn't fraudulent, but it was.
I didn't say it skewed the eye test. It skewed the psychology of how you were watching this team, because they started
looking them as the favorites instead of looking at them as the underdog, and
right.
That was the problem. And like I said, they were a year early. They were the Browns last year.
That's fair.
So
I give you that. Yeah, and like the Browns. Yeah.
Yeah, even though the Browns actually played a better in the playoffs than what Arizona
That
did.
is true.
What I'm saying is simply they're just a young team, year early. If they can, this is going to be a critical offseason for Arizona. Critical. If they can get it right this offseason, this team is going to be scary next year.
And let me be very clear what it needs to start on the defense.
Yes. Get healthy, get the defense fixed, get younger on the defense in some areas, and they'll be just fine.
And patch up the offense because you don't need to do much.
Yeah.
Good Lord, fix the damn defense because that is obviously anybody watching the Cardinals this year. You know where the problems start. It starts on the defensive end. They can't stop.
And also maybe protect Kyler Murray a little bit more, fix that offensive line a little bit. But
don't get me wrong. I didn't say it was no issues there. I was just number one. I don't know. Maybe that is the number one concern.
No, defense would.
But I would still say defense.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's just where what. Man, they had six glaring losses, and I'm like, man, all of it defensively related. Completely. Yeah. It wasn't something about the offense. The offense didn't show up today. No, that damn defense is just sputtering. And it sputtered right out of control, like I said, into a ditch.
Agreed.
Congratulations, Rams. Did a great job. Hey, they that team, and next week, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
On the same page there.